It's Calgary's podcast on the Canada's Podcast Network.
Tony Spoletini is a co-founder and co-owner of Spolumbo's, a very popular Italian restaurant and deli. He's also a former Canadian Football League player. Welcome to the show, Tony, and thanks for taking the time today to be here for our listeners.
Always my pleasure, Mayor. Always love talking to you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what your business is all about.
Well, I'm a born and raised Calgarian, born at the old General Hospital, back in 1965. I'm a son of Italian immigrants who came after World War II and started a new life here in Calgary. Went to St. Francis High School. That's where my football career actually played a year of Bantam before for the Westman and then St. Francis High School. From St. Francis, got the opportunity to play for the University of Calgary and then had a chance to play pro a couple years in Edmonton, come home with the Stampeders. And then shortly after that, started Spolumbo's with my cousin Tom Spoletini and Mike Palumbo, both former CFL football players also.
Did you need financing to start your company, and how has business been for you since then?
Actually, we're lucky because we went to the best bank of all, our parents. And, we didn't need a ton, Mayor, but we needed a little bit, just some seed money to get us going. And so we borrowed a bit of money from our parents. And we bit the bullet the first, 4 or 5 years. Actually, we didn't even take any salaries the first 2 or 3 years, and we paid them back right away. Always paid our suppliers. And then slowly after that, just started building some capital in our business.
What is your long-term vision for the company and what it will look like in the future? Do you have plans for expansion?
So initially, Mayor, being a Calgarian, we were always big fans of Peter's Drive-In. And, Peter's had that one location and they were, Canadian renowned. And so we were kind of reluctant to franchise. But then as, 20 years down the road, there's some neat opportunities came up. An opportunity at SAIT. An opportunity at the airport, at the U.S. terminal. And now there's some opportunities to maybe partner up with some of our grocery partners to get our brand out. And so we started branching out, not just sausage and catering, but we started doing sauce and we started doing some different take-home products. So that is the future, I believe, is just more take-home stuff. Maybe some more little locations or maybe some more satellites within some of the partners that we're already doing business with.
What are the biggest benefits for you being an entrepreneur in Calgary? What are some of the good points of doing business here? What are some of the tough things and challenges that entrepreneurs should be aware of as well?
So I think Calgary is probably one of the greatest places in the world to be an entrepreneur. That Western spirit, Mayor, everyone admires somebody trying to make their own way, so to speak. So, you know what? I think people admired the fact that once we got done football, that we were trying to create our own business. Now, the good thing about that is someone here is always willing to give you a chance. Now, you got to back it up with a good product and you back it up with good service. And I believe then everyone's going to have your back, and knock on wood, we've been able to do that 27 years later. We're still around. So Calgarians applaud risk. I think they applaud anybody that's willing to try and make themselves better. And so we were lucky to be in a city that had our back.
So we do some of our best work outside the office. Is there a place in Calgary where you like to go to spend some time to think about your business, to be inspired, to recharge your batteries?
Actually, Mayor, I don't have to go far. I'm kind of blessed that where I live, we back onto a beautiful ridge up in the northwest Calgary there in Scenic Acres, and it's just above Nose Hill. And so we got this nice ridge. So a lot of times, winter or summer, the sun kind of shines on our backyard. So I just like to sit out there, Mayor, look out into the ridge. There's partridge in that little ridge. It's nice and quiet, and just being in the back, just chilling, being at home and just looking out onto you can see the mountains, and I feel like I'm out of town, but I'm not. And I just I like to sit out there and just reflect. And, I do a lot of my best thinking out there, especially in the morning when no one's around.
A hypothetical question for you. Imagine you were to start all over again and you just moved to Calgary, but this time you don't know anyone. Knowing what you know now, what would you do and how would you do it to start all over again as an entrepreneur?
Well, I tell you what, Mayor, I'd be really super scared, especially right now with the economic climate we're in now. But having said that, I would always just tell someone, don't overpromise, don't overspend. An old Italian guy, my dad, said to me, you pay your suppliers always. If you have employees, you pay them. And then if there's anything left over, you keep it for yourself. Because what you don't want to do, Mayor, is you don't want to owe money and you don't want to, excuse my language, screw people. And if you can do that and you can ride those first couple years, and maybe you've got some money put away or maybe you got to borrow a little money, but just try and have a good reputation that you pay on time, you take care of your people, you provide a great product, and everything else will take care of itself.
What does the first hour of your day look like when you get up in the morning? Do you have a specific ritual or routine to get you going?
Actually, just recently started working out again, which is good. But when I get to work, I mean, in the old days, we did everything. You come in, you start cutting cheese, you start making sausage, you start doing everything. 27 years later now, I've kind of earned the right where I come in, have a cup of coffee, usually meet a couple buddies. I'm sitting out in the middle of the deli. I'm watching, everybody just, doing their normal tasks. And so that first hour, I just like to just sit and just watch everything operate. And an older gentleman, businessman, once told me that, your business is as good shape as when you're able to take a step back and it can operate without you having to be there 24/7. So in the mornings, I like to just sit there and just watch the whole operation run and have a coffee and just kind of absorb.
Do you think entrepreneurs have to be weird or unique or just wired differently?
No, Mayor, I just think you got to be able to want to take the risk. And having said that, 26 years ago, when you have nothing, it's easy to lose nothing. Fast forward to now, when you do have to do moves like you just asked me, what are you looking at, expansion, whatever. You think them way more thoroughly now because there is so much more to risk, 27 years later. So I don't think you have to be quirky. I just think you got to be willing to believe in yourself and just willing to take a chance and not let that destroy you or make you feel bad if it doesn't work out.
Okay. Are there any books you're reading right now, and are there any books you recommend to entrepreneurs?
Actually, I'm not. To be quite honest, Mayor, if I do read, I just read sports related books. As far as business goes, I just always went on my gut, and I'm not trying to say that it isn't good to, but I'm blessed that I've got so many friends that are successful in other businesses, and I'm just gonna, not to name drop, but Marshall Toner in commercial real estate. My cousin Tom looks after our wholesale, and my partner Mike is in the plant, and I've got another buddies in home development and cement. So instead of reading books, I actually have live podcasts when we meet for lunch, like Friday. We have this group called the Friday Club, and we meet and we tell funny stories and we joke about our culture. But a lot of times we're discussing, business. And so I've had these role models like Joe and Frank and my cousin Tom and my partner Mike and guys like Marshall that have their own perspective in other businesses that I'm able to steal ideas off of.
Okay. Are there any tools that you use on a daily basis, whether they're online or offline?
No. I think just again, not to be repetitive, is just good service, making sure the quality's there, attention to detail. Just making sure that if you and I are having a coffee, my head's always on a swivel, just making sure that is that customer, did they wait too long? Is their food brought out in a polite fashion? So I think it's just, again, Mario, attention to detail.
How do you balance work and how do you relax and not think about work? And are there any favorite things you like to do in Calgary?
Well, you know what? A big part of my life has been sports. So when I started having kids and they were old enough to play hockey or lacrosse or football, especially football, I got into coaching. And so I really enjoyed my time away from work of being on the field with the kids. Or I've been fortunate enough to be part of some nice groups like the Italian Sportsman Dinner Association or the Dinos Fifth Quarter, where you get asked to be involved in some fundraising, doing some dinners and, speaking at some dinners. So it's fun to get out in the community and even do some like charity barbecues or that sort of thing. So that's always been a passion, is being able to give back and being able to get out there in the community.
Now, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you like to do for a profession or a career?
You know what, Mayor? I think I would have liked to maybe have pursued coaching. I love the game. I think it's funny because you see the game so much better, after you're finished, that I love watching the young athletes now. They're everything, like in life, technology, and they're in so much better shape, better training. They can do so much more than what we used to do. So it's nice to be able to maybe give them some tips or help them become better, and just watch, what these incredible young athletes can do now.
In business, is there a favorite word, phrase, sentence, or quote that you like to use?
I think the word would be probably two words: passion and heart. Be passionate about what you do and do it with a lot of heart. Like, give everything of yourself.
What about a least favorite word?
I think would be tardiness. I think would be ignorant. You need to be on time. You need to pay attention to people. So you don't want to be, arrogant. Arrogance probably. I just hate arrogance in business, Mayor, because I believe from your dishwasher to your catering manager, everybody is the same. And if you treat everybody the same, it's got to get on a football team, Mayor. You're a special teams guy or your reserve guy. The good teams, that individual is just as important as your star quarterback. And if you don't have that, Mayor, then I don't feel there's any respect.
If you had to pick one or two words to describe yourself, what would they be and why?
I would say generous, and I would say funny.
Okay. Is there anything that keeps you up at night?
My kids? No, just making sure that, we live up to our obligations, that we're keeping up to our standards, that we're not getting complacent, that are, like, again, then we're still producing the same high quality product that we produced 27 years ago.
Okay, now everybody these days talks about a bucket list, an inspired life list. What's on top of your bucket list?
Well, you know what, Mayor? A lot of those gentlemen that I mentioned to you that we have lunch with, I've been able to do so many incredible things with them, like go see, football games all over, North America, and even just this business, Spolumbo's, has enabled Tom, Mike, and I to be able to take our families on some incredible journeys, like being able to take the family back to Italy and to show them where their grandparents came from. So I am more or less living my bucket list, Mayor, being able to take my family and spend time with my friends and go do things that we weren't able to do, 25, even 15 years ago when we were building our business.
Now, over the years, I'm sure you've received a lot of advice from people. Is there anything that you can think of that you can pass along to entrepreneurs?
Again, just what we had mentioned earlier, do not spend more money than you make. I know that is the simple Italian adage. Don't spend more money than you make, and just deliver what you say you're going to deliver. If I promised you X, Mayor, I better deliver X, or else your name means nothing.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a kind of a different question here, Tony. There's a small tropical island just off of Fiji that only has one phone booth there with no internet. We're going to drop you off there, and you won't have a computer or smartphone, tablet, any kind of device. You can use the phone booth located there anytime to call the boat, and we'll come pick you up. Now, how long do you think you would last before you made that phone call, and what do you think you would do there?
I think I could last a week to 10 days, because I think I'm a little bit attention deficit where I need to, but I think I like to debrief. So I think I could fish, swim, eat fruit, just chill out for, a good week to 10 days. And then, I'd have to get back and see my family and my friends and get back. I love Calgary, and I love living in the city. But yeah, I'm good for pockets of quiet time. But yeah, I couldn't last more than 7 to 10 days.
How can our listeners get a hold of you, Tony? And is there anything you would like to add?
You know what? Come down, say hello, come down to Spolumbo's. You can get a hold of me, through our website, Tony@spolumbos.com, or call the office. They'll put you through to my, my office. And I always do my best to get back to people within a couple of days, or have a representative of mine get back within a couple of days. And I just come say hi, and we'll share some lunch together.
Thanks, Tony, for being our guest on Calgary's podcast. I've learned a lot about you, your business, and I'm sure our listeners have as well.